Good morning all. Myself Arshdeep Kaur, a member of Shiv Jyoti Educational Group Kota. Students, today we are here to start the poetry from your book Beehive. For better understanding of it, I request you all to open your books and come to page number 65. Over there, you will see the title of the poem, that is A Legend of the Northland. This is the name of your poetry. Legend basically means a thing which is historical in nature. Northland refers to the part of the earth, the areas which are near to the northern equator. So, in this poem we are going to learn about a short story. This story is in the form of a ballad. What is a ballad? A ballad is basically a short story narrating in different stanzas. In this poem, there are 16 stanzas and approximately 4 lines in each stanza. So, we would be reading this story in the form of a ballad. Now, let us begin with the poetry. The poet writes, Northland is very cold and snow covered, and therefore people are seen harnessing reindeers which pull the sledges. The children wear furry clothes because of extreme cold. In this paragraph, basically the poet wants you to understand the climatic conditions and how do people and animals live over there. So, he has narrated you that in these areas there is extreme cold which has been witnessed there, and over there people are using these reindeers to move from one place to another. People wear furry clothes because of extreme climate and extreme cold that has been seen over there. So, in this stanza he has explained you basically that what is the weather conditions of the regions which are near to the north equator and named as Northland over here. Let us see ahead. In the poem, the poet narrates an incident from the Northland. Now, in this poem, as I told you that it is a ballad in which we will be hearing a very famous folk tales, and a small incident has been narrated from the Northland. Once Saint Peter was travelling around the earth. Saint Peter was a person who was a disciple of Jesus Christ, and he was travelling around the earth. While walking down the street, he came across a cottage of a little old woman who was baking cakes. Now, Saint Peter was on a round of the earth, and he just was wandering from one place to another. On the way, he was too tired and he just saw one cottage of an old lady, and she was baking cakes. There were n number of cakes at her place. The saint was very weak because of the fast and therefore requested the woman to give him cake to eat. Now the Saint Peter was too weak. He was feeling weak because he was fasting. He was travelling from one place to another. So he decided that he will ask for a cake from the woman, and he said that, can you please give me one cake as I am feeling too weak. The lady was stingy and greedy too. She made the smallest possible cake after repeated attempts and placed it on the hearth. Hearth is basically a fireplace. Now the old lady to whom the Saint Peter has gone and demanded for a cake, she was too greedy. What she did, she took a dough and she baked the cake. Before she put it onto the fireplace, she saw, no, it's too big. Again she took a smaller dough and again she made a cake out of it. Again, while going to the hearth, she said, it's too big. I want a really small cake to be offered for free of cost. So she just made a very small cake and put it on the fireplace for Saint Peter. This gesture of the lady made the saint furious. Now Saint Peter got very much annoyed, as he was not able to understand that how could a lady be so greedy. He has asked for a cake and she has made it as thin as it could be possible. He told her that she was too selfish to exist in human form and cursed her to turn into a woodpecker. Now, seeing this greediness of the lady, Saint Peter said that you do not deserve to become a human, and he just cursed that you would be turned into a woodpecker, because being a human you cannot act so greedy. So, she was turned into a woodpecker. He said she would get very less food to eat, and she would keep boring the holes in the dry hard wood. Now, while cursing, he just said, you will get very less food. Why? Because if you can't give a little bit food to some needy person, then you deserve that you should move from one place to another in search of food, and then too you will not get it. Even you should go from the same stance from which I have gone through. And she would keep on boring the holes in the dry hard wood, and you will have to make holes in the woods, in the stem. Still you will not find a place to live. She then entered the chimney and then escaped from its outlet. The house over there in which she was there, the cottage of her, she was transformed in the form of woodpecker. She just escaped from the chimney over there. Her clothes fell and burnt in the flames except her scarlet cap, that is a red color cap. So what happened? Her clothes that she was wearing at that time, it all fell and turned into black ashes. But the cap was there, red cap was still there. It is believed that now country's every schoolboy sees her burrowing in the woods even today. Now, why this is a folk tale? Because this story is very much famous. Till date also, country's boy, the boys those who are going to the school, they see such bird wandering from one tree to another, and she is burrowing in the hard wood trees in order to make a home. She do not get food, and this is the story which is famous over there. Let us see the critical analysis of the poem. A Legend of the Northland is a beautiful ballad. As I told you, in this there are different stanzas and the story has been covered. So, in the poem, a ballad form has been used. It is a narrative by the poet to the readers where an old tale from the land of Northland was shared. An old tale, a folk tale story has been shared by the narrator through this poetry. The poem in the form of verse narrates the stubbornness of an old woman. The poem is a direct criticism of negative traits of human behavior. So, from this poem, what do we get to know? That if you are so much greedy, if you have so much negativity in yourself, so somewhere or the other you might get into trouble. This happened with the lady also. She was having so many cakes, but the greediness of her landed her into a problem. It is a perfect example of how greed and miserliness make you a shallow and self-centered person. Now, from this poetry we come to know that how could a human being become so self-centered. The saint was on fasting. He was moving from one place to another, and the lady didn't want to offer her a single piece of cake also. So, this shows how self-centered people are there in today's world. The focus of the poem is to show smallness of human heart and how being mean can put one in trouble. The main focus is if you have everything and you have a very small heart to give, then someday or the other you will not have so much with you. You should have a glad heart to help people, those who are needy. The poet wants to convey that if a human being lacks the quality of being generous, he is not worth being a human, but equivalent to an animal. The poet says that if you have been gifted by the God the birth of a human being a human, then you must obey the nature. You must not act like animal, and if you did so, then you have seen in the poem that how the lady was cursed and become a woodpecker. Let us discuss the theme of the poem. A Legend of the Northland is based on the theme of different attributes of human nature like greed and stinginess. The poem revolves around this theme and brings out to what extent these traits of human nature offend others. These characteristics are nothing but an evidence of shallowness. In the poem, we have seen that humans have different attributes. If you are greedy, if you are not greedy, then what all things could happen to you? And poet has narrated in a very good manner that greediness will lead to a problem someday or the other. Now, I request you all to open your book Beehive and come to page number 65. Now we are going to mark the poetic devices. First paragraph, away, away. This is a repetition. Second paragraph, there is alteration, and that is the sound of TH and IF. I request you to come to stanza number 9. Rolled, rolled. This is your again repetition. Now, I request you to write the rhyming scheme of the poem, that is ABCB. I hope you have understood the poem. Thank you.